Have you ever wanted to reach out to a celebrity and thought they would never pay attention to me? That's how I felt the first time I contacted Freddy Jacquin to tell him that his book Hypnotherapy had had a life-changing impact on me. And to my surprise, he responded and we started communicating back and forth and have since become friends. I consider Freddie to be one of the most dear people in the entire world in my life. And he has such a genuine, beautiful authenticity that has transformed the lives of thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of people throughout the world. I hope you hang on every word as you listen to this powerful interview from my dear friend, Freddy Jacquin. And when you're finished, I encourage you to go and purchase his new book, The Lazy Way to Enlightenment and Unlimited Happiness. I was fortunate to get a sneak peek, and it is absolutely spectacular. Enjoy this conversation. I feel like it's been a month since you said, I'm going to write a book. Here are my title ideas. Tell me what you think. And someone threw out a really awesome title, and I think you kind of went with that one. So will you first start off by just telling us a little bit about your book, the book that you just completed?
Well, this book is really for the public rather than hypnotists. I expect a lot of hypnotherapists are going to pick it up. I'd like to think they get something from it. But really, I wanted to write a book that people, anyone, the general public could pick up off the shelf and change their life with, really, the way they think, enable them to let go of their limitations, their fears, their anxieties. And there's no mention in the book about hypnosis, even though it's coming with an audio. Each of the chapters, like the one on changing habitual behaviours and fears and anxieties, there's kind of an audio for that. There's one for eliminating useless unnecessary pain, whether it's physical or emotional. Of course, I'm going to use the arrow technique, but there's no mention of hypnosis in it. And then then the other audio is with TPM, Total Perception Management, how to have complete control over your emotions. So really, I think for someone who's picking that book up, who's got irrational fear or anxiety or stress, that's the big one that most people would think about, that they'd like to be free of. But the idea of being free of any emotional pain they've got, being able to read a book, you don't need to have the audio because it's described in the book how to change and how to do that while you're reading. But the audio is obviously an add-on, which I think will be of benefit. Yeah. But so there's anxiety, stress, and habitual behavior, irrational fears, and then there's complete control over your emotions. So a bit of switch an emotion off or ramp an emotion up. So I think it covers pretty much everything that most of us humans suffer from. And I'd like to think it's only about 10,000 words, so it's not a tome. But what I have avoided doing in the book is just making it bigger by putting in pictures and quotes from other people. I think it was, I'm trying to think of his name, the singer, the ginger guy, Ed Sheeran.
Yes.
In one of his, because I love him, I think he's great. But in one of his songs, he says, never use other people's quotes. And so anyway, in the book, I've not used any of the quotes. And I've noticed a lot of the books, and people are sending me books and saying, can you read my book and can you kind of endorse it and stuff? And I'm always going to try and help people where I can. But it's almost like since Tony Robbins first started out saying, he was 700 pounds or whatever he weighed, and then he went down to whatever it was. And now he was living in a squat in a hole in the ground or something. Then he became this zillionaire. It seems like everybody has to have that story in the beginning of their book. The tragedy. Well, I haven't done that, so my book's a lot thinner. But if you want to know about me, give me a call and I'll tell you about all the rotten stuff that's happened in my life, if you like. But I'm not going to put it in my book. So, so in the book, like with my hypnotherapy book, I'd like to think that I've kind of cut out all the fluff, the things that just make it a bigger book, or, what most people do. It's just purely do this, and you can change that. And again, I think with a lot of these books that I read that people write, they give you a lot of facts which they've drawn from Google or anything else. But when you look to get down to how you change, it's probably not even a page of actual advice on how to make these changes. So that's what I want this book to be. I want people to pick it up, read it, maybe make them think differently about who we are as human beings, and then have a way of going, okay, well, this is a negative belief I've got, I'm going to eliminate it. So that's the book anyway, and it's called The Lazy Way to Enlightenment and Unlimited Happiness. I was saying it to somebody else, and I said the word wrong. I said The Lazy Way to Entitlement. And so that's going to be the follow-up.
I love it.
So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the book. I'm hoping it's going to be out in like maybe 3 or 4 weeks' time.
Oh, amazing.
I've got a friend who's designing the cover. Yes, and the same friend she's going to translate it into Italian and Romanian. So hopefully it'll be out straight out in 3 different languages, which will be really good.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm just enjoying it really. Yeah, and then I've got 2 other books, which one's but I've got some years ago I wrote a book called Jacquin Rope Workout. I don't know if I might have sent it to you.
Oh yeah, yes.
How you can get totally toned on a single piece of rope without skipping. And anyway, I did it, and when I did it, must have been 8 years ago, because my granddaughter Beth's 26, and she did she and I did the photographs for it, demonstrating these different techniques. She was 18 then, so it must have been 8 years ago. But now I want to do it again, because I've kind of upgraded the way I think about it and how the ways are working. Some of your ideas on getting your mind right for how to get fit. But I want to make it as a video, and to do that, I've got to get absolutely ripped, which is taking longer than I thought. So I'm going to have to come back to you, and you're going to have to hypnotize me and get me back on track. But so there's that book in the making, because I think, I'm 68. I'd like to think if I can get my body absolutely ace, which I know I can,
yes,
then I think that kind of be a bit of an inspiration. So I've got that one in the pipeline once I've got this one sorted, which is pretty sorted anyway. And then the next one, I think we spoke about before, which is a kind of fantasy book. But I want people to be able to pick it up, or kids to pick it up, or anyone at any age to pick it up. And without knowing it, they get an idea of how they can change their life. And I haven't come up with a title for it yet, but there's your Zelda, your granddaughter, isn't it?
yes.
Well, the main character is named Zelda after your granddaughter. So it gives me, an idea to the kind of incentive to finish it, because I want her to better read it, 4 or 5, and know that she was the inspiration for the name. So yeah, so all these things are kind of these books that are in my mind. If I don't come up with something else in the meantime, which I'll add to the list, which is just how it goes.
I am so excited. And I know your hypnotherapy book, I feel like I hung on every word because I listened to the audiobook, and you did do an excellent job of not being redundant and putting in tons of extra facts, and just, it's all such amazing information that you can apply to your life right away. And one of the biggest reasons I created this podcast is because I want people who listen to start to get in the headspace of people who are changing the world in the way that you're changing the world and taking action. And, so many people get an idea and they wait till they have all their ducks in a row, and they wait till everything is just right, and they end up never doing it. I personally have been planning to write a book for 3 years. So when I saw you've written two since I decided I was going to write one, and when I saw how quickly you did this, I thought I have to understand your mindset. So will you just talk to me a little bit about just what that process looks like for you from idea to completion? Like just in your mind.
I think when it comes to writing the book, I think you've got to write it for yourself without thinking, who's going to like this? Will anyone like it? Well, I like it. That's the question. And when I enjoy doing it, and that's the other thing. The process itself, I've sent them to you, haven't got them yet, but I've sent you my novels as well. And they were great fun to write because you're in a kind of, you are in a fantasy world. One's a crime novel, and one's kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Where you're like the perfect kind of world kind of book. Anyway, writing those books is not difficult for me. Probably people will say there's no wonder because they're rubbish, but
No.
but you know, but I enjoy doing it, and and then when I get into it, sometimes I make myself laugh, which is pretty crazy, really. And then you know, it's probably one day making myself laugh, they'll carry me off and say, right, you're going to laugh at yourself, you're going to be locked away. But you know, sometimes we do things, but I am going to enjoy everything, and that's why I write the books. That's why I've written this book. If it inspires people, if it changes people's lives, great. But have I enjoyed writing it? That's the big question. And so I think that's what you've got to do. Instead of wondering, am I a good enough writer? You know, will people criticize me? Will people go this? And someone did. When I was at the London conference last year, someone I know, you know, and I've known him for a long time. He's a bit up his own backside, and he always has been, you know. And I'll say it to him, if he remembers him saying this to me, he'll know who he is. And if he asks me, I'll say yes, it's true. You are up your own backside. So anyway, this guy came up to me, and he said, "I read your books." He said, "I read your books." He said, "You're a good storyteller, but you're not a very good writer." I said, "Oh, that's nice of you. How many books have you written?" "Well, I haven't written a book." "So up yours." You know, that's my attitude towards it. It's okay for people to criticize, and I left school at 15. You know, it's luckily we got Google, so I can spell properly now. You know, I don't care. You know, I just want to enjoy my life, and I want to enjoy a story. And people who read my stories like them.
Yeah.
And whether it's actually great literature, or whether it's, you know, the proper language or whatever else, I write like I speak. And as you can see, you know, I'm not 100% when I speak, so my books aren't going to be as good. But I do have people checking over spelling and stuff like that. People, and all friends. I've never had to pay for any of that stuff. People proofread it, and I say, if you got any kind of thoughts on this. But yeah, I don't find it difficult. It's not hard, but I can tell a story. So, well, I never have, and I still don't think, you know, I'm going to change the world. As I said, I go about it because I find something I am passionate about, and then I want to be the best I can be at it. So that's it really. You know, how good can I be physically? You know, if I'm going to be a hypnotherapist, like I say to all my students, there are a zillion mediocre hypnotherapists out there. You can be one, or you can strive to be the best you can be. And I fully expect that some of my ideas, the things I've developed, people are going to take them and are going to move them to another level. That's what happens. That's the evolution of mankind, isn't it? Where any of these things start, you know, I stand on the shoulders of people like Erickson and 2 or 3 other people I might have read about, you know, in my 2 books that I've read in my life. And I think it was Bob Burns said, you know, he said, "Oh, Freddie had a tragedy." He said his library burnt down and both his books were burnt. So I don't know. So yeah, as a kid, and I'll say it because, you know, the man's still alive. My dad's still alive. I don't believe I've got any kind of encouragement from him. And so anyway, when I got into my kind of late teens, and I got married very young, and so I had to work, and it's never been a problem for me to work. I've always assumed if I want anything, I'm going to have to work for it. I didn't have any kind of ancestors with loads of money going to leave me a big estate or anything. So I'm going to have to just work. And it's never bothered me. And I've always felt like if I can speak, I can work. And that's just who I am. But in my kind of late teens and early 20s, if I had an idea, I'd have this voice in my head, which we spoke about before, this kind of imposter monster. And I think, well, you're not going to do it. What's the point in thinking about it? You're not going to make it, so why bother? And then I listened to that voice, and I listened to it carefully. It wasn't my voice. It was my dad's voice. And so I also grew up with a mother that thought the sun shone out of my backside. She thought I could do anything. So I know I had my mum's voice in my head somewhere. So I listened out for it. And so in my own mind, this is how crazy it is, and I was only like young, I pictured one of those old radio sets, the wooden ones, with the knobs and the valves in the back. And it had 2 volume sets on it. And one of them had my dad's name over it, and one had my mum's name over it. So I went in my own head, and I turned my dad's voice right down, and I turned my mum's voice right up. And I'm sure my dad's still there going, I can't hear him. So anyway, so that kind of thing. And then just, it's a kind of fearlessness. It's about not worrying too much about what people think. Obviously I had, Anthony, who's now 46 or wherever he is, and my older boy is 49. They were kids. So I just wanted to give them everything I could possibly give them, the best life possible. So I used to graft, and we were talking just before we came on about me doing the 26-hour trance aid. But I had worked, and this is true, 48 hours non-stop in the past. Someone would say, I've got this job. I'd say, I'll have it. And what is it? I'll do it, whatever it is. I want my kids to have what they want, and I would do that. So it got to a point where I just do whatever I could do, and that was driven by wanting to have my kids to have a life. But I've never really planned anything. When I look back at stuff, it's like it's just kind of washed over me, and I've just gone along with it. And luckily, I suppose, I've ended up where I'm at. But then people say, the harder you work, the luckier you get. I think that's what they say, don't they?
Yes.
So when people say to me, well, what you're doing, that must be really hard to do that. I've dug holes for a living. I know what hard work is. I've worked 48 hours. I know what hard work is. And doing what I do now is not hard work. Speaking to you, having fun, and I love meeting people. So what better job could I have? Every hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever, I meet someone new. They tell me their story, which I love. We have some work together, and they hopefully change their life.
Yeah.
And so for me, as my kind of character, I couldn't be in a better job, because they come in, they tell me a story, we get to know each other, a bit of banter, we do some work together, they go off, they quit whatever they're doing, or they live their life, never see them again probably, but I've had that bit of time. And so none of this is hard.
Yeah.
None of it.
I love that. And so a lot of it is just the way you choose to look at it, the things you choose to say to yourself about the task ahead of you. And I think it can often be as simple as that. And I hope anyone listening apply what Freddy said about the radio dials to your own, to your own voices. It can be that simple. Freddy, you mentioned TPM, Total Perception Management, and I wonder if you'd be willing to talk to people a little bit about that protocol, especially in the context of people who want to start using the tools that they've learned, perhaps in your amazing training, but they're so afraid of they're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid they're not good enough. You had also talked about developing excellence, like when you use these tools, do them really well. So maybe you could talk a little bit about how that happens.
Well, it's come down to this simple thing, and I'm gonna make this video because I think it will change the way people think about a lot of things. Obviously, we're still in lockdown, so getting one-to-one with someone is kind of difficult. But I want to do it, and the idea is that. Well, you've heard me say before, nothing exists outside of your skull except as perception. So even what you think I look like, anyone that's watching this, you could probably describe me and they could describe me. and you think you're looking at the same thing and experiencing the same thing. But if you could have that person's perception of what I look like, just for a millisecond, it would be so different to yours. It would be like psychedelic, because nothing exists outside of your skull except as perception. And that includes emotions, including love, hate, anger, jealousy, and pain. None of it exists outside of your skull except perception. So I come up with what I think is the quickest, fastest phobia cure ever. Is there anything that spikes you at the moment you'd like to feel differently about? When you think about it, it still makes you anxious. I know you've cleared most of your stuff out, but...
Well, I've been, I don't know if I should admit this on the podcast. I've been struggling with a particular person who thinks I did something malicious, and it hurts my feelings. It like triggers stuff from my childhood when I was told I was a bad kid, and I wanted to say, I'm not a bad kid.
Right, okay.
And I keep thinking about it and going into that.
Right, okay. Right, okay. So when you think about it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being excruciating, 0 being no kind of pain or anxiety at all, how does it make you feel on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I've been working on it. So it's probably, if I really try, I can get it at about a 5.
Okay, right, come on then, let's do this thing.
Okay.
I'm going to explain how it works. Place your hands together like this. Put your hands up, you can see them, squeeze your palms together. At the same time squeezing your palms together, pull your index fingers an inch apart, like that. Now look at the gap between those fingers. I want you to imagine they're magnets. And as you look at the gap, you listen to my voice, you're going to feel them pulling together. In a moment, they will touch. When they touch, your eyes will close. Get ready. That's right. Close your eyes. See Zelda's face. See that beautiful child of yours. Feel that love she feels for you. Let that remind you of just how loved you are and how fabulous you are as a woman, as a mother, as a being. And as you feel that love, those hands are sticking tighter and tighter together. They are super glued, bolted together. You can try and pull them apart, find they stick even tighter now. I do not want you to pretend. Pull even harder, find they stick even tighter. That's right. See that beautiful child, see those beautiful girls of yours, feel that love they feel for you, and let that fill you up. In a moment, I'm going to count to 3. Your hands will come unstuck, your eyes will open, you feel incredible. Get ready. 1, feeling wonderful. 2, to achieve everything you want to achieve in your life, do it brilliantly. 3, hands coming unstuck, eyes opening, feeling absolutely wonderful. Okay, right now I'm going to explain how a phobia or an anxiety begins. When this person spikes you, you know, your imagination runs to all the worst case scenarios. What if someone else hears that? What if someone else believes that? What's going to happen to me? What are they going to think about me, right? So your imagination kicks in. But at that point in time, it's your imagination, right? But then what happens after that is your imagination becomes automatic. I think about this person and I immediately feel anxious because you're thinking about the worst case scenario. It happens automatically. At some point after that, you forget you only ever imagined the outcome. And when we're imagining something and we forget we're imagining it, it seems real. To your body and your mind, it's real. So that's how we create a phobia, an irrational fear. Not a phobia and something, dog bites you and then it's a one-stop learning, but with an irrational fear, like you've been feeling about this situation. That's how it's created. Let me do this again. Place your hands together like this. Put your hands up, you can see them. Look at the gap between your fingers. In a moment, they will touch. When they touch, your eyes will close. That's right. Close your eyes. Once again, see the faces of the people you love. Feel that love. And as you feel that love, those hands are sticking tighter and tighter together. They're super glued, bolted together. They're stuck. You can try and pull them apart. Try to stick even tighter now. That's right. Now I'm going to remind you, Laurie, that I ever asked you to imagine those hands were stuck. And when I ever asked you to imagine they were magnets and they were glued together. Anytime you want to stop imagining your hands are stuck, stop imagining and see what happens to your hands. Okay, right, now look at me. Now I'm going to remind you that anxiety you've been feeling only started with your imagination. It was never true and it was never real. And anytime you want to stop imagining it, imagining the worst outcome, stop imagining it and see what happens. And when you've done that, you can close your eyes, but stop imagining it. Imagining that, stop that imagination. When you've done that, nod your head. So I know you've done it. Just stop imagining it in that way. Okay, open your eyes. Look at me. Try and feel that anxiety now and find you cannot. On a scale of 1 to 10, where's the anxiety gone now?
It's gone.
Well, it'll never
0.
bother you again.
I love
It
it.
was never real in the first place. Now, my attitude towards TPM is this. All of our emotions, including fear, anxiety, pain, love, all of that stuff. And I know this sounds a bit kind of harsh, but none of that is any more than chemicals, electrodes, synapses, and all those kind of words I don't know about, firing off in your brain, okay? They don't exist outside of your skull. So we can then choose what emotion we want. So we can ask ourselves, I'm feeling angry. And what I'm saying in my book as well, we indulge ourselves in certain emotions. I have a right to be angry. I have a right to be frustrated. I have a right to feel hurt. Even when that emotion's doing us no good, and definitely not doing the people around us any good. But we indulge ourselves. We say, I have a right to feel like this, so I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to stay angry for the next 10 years because they did something to me, right? I'm going to ruin my family's life, ruin my life, ruin my health because I have a right to be angry. I have a right to be jealous. I have a right to feel. So, but once you recognize that that's detrimental, not only to you, but the people around you, you can say, okay, well, if it's detrimental, I'll switch it off because it doesn't exist outside of my skull except as chemicals. And you can change those chemicals by going for a run, by jumping up and down a spot, laughing out loud. Mm-hmm. That's how quickly you can change the chemicals in your brain. Change it with a glass of water. But once you recognize that, and that's what I'm teaching you in this book and what I teach in my hypnotherapy book, because I think when I first broached the idea, you know what I'm like, I have an idea, Facebook, I've got this idea, I'm thinking we can control our emotions. And then people came back and said, well, if you could just switch off an emotion, doesn't that make you kind of robotic? Doesn't it make you less than human? And I did think about that for maybe 2 or 3 seconds. And then, as I do, and then I thought, no, if this makes us a more advanced human. And I honestly believe, Laurie, and I know it's a big thing to say, this is the evolution of us as mankind, where we have control over our emotions. At the moment, we're slaves to our emotions. You know, the amount of people that are looking right now, somewhere on this world, in their fridge, because someone's just upset them. They're looking for something nice to eat.
Yes.
Imagine switching that off.
Yes.
That, you know, imagine if it did nothing else, TPM, except switch. You know, you're walking toward the fridge, kids are getting on my nerves. You know, my man's wound me up. A woman's getting on my nerves, or whatever it might be. I'm going to have something nice to eat. Hold on a second. Switch that off. I believe it's the evolution of humankind. And there's only going to be a few people that are going to be doing it because not everyone's going to understand it. But it is going to put you, and I don't like even using the word, but you're going to put you in an elite space that you can look at things differently. You know, what I've been talking about recently, it's not even just switching an emotion off, it's coming back to neutral. Because in neutral, we think straight. Mm-hmm. Most of the decisions we make, good or bad, are made in an emotional state. But that's not your optimum state for making decisions. So if you are going to make a decision about anything, to be able to say, okay, this is serious and I need to make a proper decision here, come back to neutral. So you're not high, you're not low, it's none of that stuff. It's just a neutral space where your brain's working properly, where you're making a decision from a neutral space instead of heated or, you know, I don't care. None of those spaces, but neutral. And it's this space that I'm trying to get people back to in my book, in any situation. But once you understand that you can do that, then you can ramp that feeling up. If it's a good feeling, joy, love, passion, pleasure, if we can neutralize a feeling of a negative feeling, we also be able to ramp up a really good feeling. Mm-hmm. You know, you could have the best sex ever. If you understand this is really great. I think I'll ramp that up. Thanks very much. Let's get it to its max. They'll just think you're keeping tune to something. I don't know. But that's the whole thing about this. And then you can switch off those voices. I don't know, it's not even my voice. And is that voice, is that voice encouragement to do stuff, or is it negating stuff? And if it is, whose voice is it? We're born with none of these limitations. People put it on us. Oh, you're a very sporty kid, but you're never going to be academic. Okay, thanks for telling me. Now I believe you. I won't bother with any academic stuff. Or just we believe them because we're kids. It's not true. It really is not true. You can just say, well, what do I want? What do I want to achieve? But the reason that none of this seems like work for me, one, it's not work. You say, well, I'm writing these books and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. What do you enjoy doing apart from your work? What do you really enjoy doing? I mean, you like running or walking or stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I love being at my gym across the street.
Right, okay. But does that feel like anything other than joy?
No.
Well, if that's how I look on the stuff I do. So none of it's hard and none of it seems to take, and there's no time either. So it's not like I'm going to do my hypnotherapy from 9 to 5. And at some point I'm going to write my book because that's when I'm working, 9 to 5. I don't work, Laurie. I haven't worked since 1995 or something. I've just not worked because I learned to do hypnotherapy back in 1995 and I haven't worked since.
Yeah.
And so there's no time either. It's not Saturday and Sunday and evening and morning. It's just, there's no kind of, I feel like writing a book on a Sunday, like I did, what was the other day I finished my book. This is what happened. I got up and it was raining outside and it wasn't very nice. And I just got out of my bed and I thought, that bed's really nice and warm and it's really cozy. I know what I do. I take my bloody laptop to bed and I'll finish writing my book in bed. That's what I did.
Oh, I love it. I have a similar mindset. I enjoy what I do so much, and it's the same. The weekends are like my time to do all the fun stuff in my business that I didn't do during the week, and it's whatever's lighting me up. But I'm so excited and inspired by this that I just can't stay away. And I'll share this because I have this sitting right here. I just ordered this from Amazon. It's a little timer. It's set for 25 minutes. And sometimes I'll push myself and I'll work so hard for so long that I'll just want to fall over. And this is based on a book called the Pomodoro Method, where they say that your brain is really productive for about 25 minutes. Then you should step away and take a 5-minute break. And I'm telling you, my productivity has skyrocketed since I started just working in 25-minute increments. So as I'm hearing you speak, I suspect that there are things that you're not doing that are allowing you to be so productive in your life. What are all your favorite TV shows that you watch every night, Freddie?
I don't watch a TV show, but I love films. I generally, I love films. I love kind of dramas and stuff. But I've taken my guitar to my office, so it might be that my brain's working in that way already, because every now and again I just think, I know what I do. I've got a song I'm learning. I'll have a bit of a plonk on my guitar for a while. But there's no kind of structure. I was thinking about this with self-hypnosis the other day, about why I'm wondering why it doesn't work all the time for me. And I've come to the conclusion, I don't like people telling me what to do, even myself. So when I'm saying to myself, you need to do this, I think, no, I've got to find another way of getting to me that doesn't seem like I'm telling myself to do stuff. Because the moment someone says, you've got to do this, Freddie, I think, no chance. And even if I wanted to do it, I'm not going to do it now. So, it's just, I don't know. And it's not like, I've got ideas for things that I want to, like I've told you, I've got this goal. It's not even a goal, but I've got an idea about getting this retreat where, you can come over and spend a week and anyone else can come over. We can talk about hypnosis, do some training together, walk around the lakes or wherever it might be. But I'm not striving for it. I'm assuming that if I continue to do what I'm doing, I'll be able to do it. But if I don't, so be it. So I'm not kind of working towards anything, or I'm not going through anything. I'm just in it. I feel that's how I feel at the moment. I'm in this kind of space. I'm occupying a space where I'm just right here, right now with you. And this is what's happening right now. We're having some fun. We're talking about stuff that we want to do and how we do it. But it's fun. And I don't want to, I've kind of made my mind up not to do anything I don't enjoy. And I know I'm in a kind of privileged space because I'm a senior citizen, I'm an OAP. I could legitimately now buy myself a rocking chair, grow a long white beard, and wear a scabby old jumper, smoke a pipe, and rock the rest of my life away. No one's going to say it because I haven't even got grandchildren. I've got grand adults. My youngest grandchild's 18. So I'm allowed to kind of do all that stuff. I could put on another 2-3 stone. No one's going to say anything because I'm an OAP, I'm a senior citizen, but I'm not going to because I'm bloody vain. I accept that. But if I'm going to get my body right, it's got to be for fun. It's got to be enjoyable. When I see people weight loss, I say we do what I call my parts negotiation kind of stuff. And I ask their unconscious mind, go and find some new ways of eating and exercising that are fun and enjoyable. And I say to the people that come and see me for weight loss, if what you're doing over these next 6 months or 9 months, if it's not fun, if it's not enjoyable, don't do it because it won't last. But if you can find a way of living that's fun and enjoyable or get you to your goal, then you continue to do it, don't you? And it's like your job. If you can find the joy in it. And I did a little kind of webinar throughout the COVID crisis, in conjunction with the College of Medicine here in the UK and Integrated Health. I've been doing a webinar. It's down to once every month now. Freddy's Friday Free Therapy at 4, it's called. It's all the F's. Told you I was a terrible speller. But anyway, and last week it was the kind of title was Finding Happiness and Joy Even in a Crisis. What I was saying in that webinar was it's on my YouTube channel, but it's about living in the moment. And so many of us say, I'll be happy when I've written my book. I'll be happy when I've lost 20 pounds. I'll be happy when the coronavirus is over and everything's back to normal. I'll be happy when. And if we're saying I'll be happy when, what you're actually saying, I'm not happy now. And in this book by Michael Niels, I must have read it 20 years ago. It was called How to Be Happy Now. And what he says in it, which I love, he says, if you're doing things in order to be happy, you're doing them in a wrong order, which I quote because I love that. If you're doing things in order to be happy, you're doing them in the wrong order. Find what you can find joy in now. You've got your girls, you've got Zelda, you've got your business, you've got people around the world that love you. All those things. Find what you can do. It doesn't stop you from striving to have, financial goals or material things. But once you find the happiness in now, then your happiness is no longer dependent on getting those things, which is a different space to occupy than striving because you're not happy now. But we can all find it. We can find it in walking in the rain. I know it sounds like romantic, but walking in the rain when it hadn't rained for a while. When I lived in Florida for a little while and it hadn't rained, and then you'd have that kind of torrent of rain.
Yes.
And that kind of smell that you get when it's like that. I don't know, the guy, the family, a friend of mine that I was living with, the water would run down like that deep and everyone would go out in it, just like paddling. It was just, just celebrating, just things like that. I have the sun that comes up over the sea, and I think I've shown you before. My windows face the east and the sun comes up every morning and it's different. But then that's that one thing. But then you can go down the beach when the waves are washing over the top and enjoy that. So it's about finding what joy we can right in this moment and living in this moment. Because so many people, and you know, because you're in therapy, not in therapy, but you're working in therapy, that most people most things they come with are things that they're worrying about stuff that happened in the past, or they're anxious about stuff that's going to happen in the future. But they're not living right in this moment. It's always past or future. And once they recognize that none of those things are real, then they can change their life. But you've got to start. Anthony calls it being present. And it is. It's about being present in this moment. But it's hard to get that because most of us are so busy striving for stuff or thinking about what other people were thinking about us. What will they think of us if I don't do anything for a day? What if I don't show up on Facebook for a day? What if I don't do another video for a week? You know, all the kind of stuff that people worry about, instead of thinking, okay, well, the truth is, nobody's thinking about us.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
You know, they're all busy with their own stuff.
Yeah.
I had a girl come and see me once, and she said she had a drink problem. And what she was doing, she was drinking like a bottle of wine every night or whatever it was. But her real problem was she wasn't taking her kids to school. She had to get someone, because one morning she felt she was probably drunk, and she'd had a night out or whatever it was. And she thinks that the other mums had seen her and probably thought she was drunk. And this is weeks on. And I said, do you think they're really thinking about you? I said, they've got their own stuff to deal with. You know, they're not. They might have thought in a moment, she looks like she's having a drink, but then that's it. But we spend our lives worrying about what other people think. Once you get past that, and my attitude now is, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to enjoy it. You know, I try, honestly, to be as kind as I can be. And that's my kind of religion, really. I'm not a religious person, but I live my life. I try and be kind, and I try and be authentic and good. You know, I fail sometimes, but I do try. But that's all I can do. And some people are going to get me, and some people aren't. It's just the way it is. But I can't be worried about the people who don't get me. I could try and be someone else to satisfy them, but part of me has to doubt I can keep it up. So I just live it, and I enjoy it. I've been putting these stupid things out on Facebook, this thing called Reface. Some of you seen my little videos. I did one yesterday with me yodeling on it.
I missed it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, you can just take, like, on this Reface thing, you can take a clip, like give you clips from different films.
Oh yes, this is like your Pirates of the Caribbean, and you're being the Rock.
Yeah. So, and then you just press the button and you put your face on that character, right? So, and I've just been having some fun. And yesterday I put one out. It was me yodeling, right? So it was a guy in Switzerland, and he's yodeling with all the like Lederhosen on and the fat hat with a fluffy thing on the top. It's Sunday, so I normally put them out on Sunday because Sunday's like, you know, it gives two monkeys what happens on Sunday. So I put it out, and I just put, you know, if people, I'm often asked how I keep my hypnotic voice prepared. And this is how. Every Sunday I yodel. I put it out, and a lot of people put that little smiley face or the laughter face, you know. And by the end of the day, there was at least 50 of those little emojis, the laughter emojis. So I put another post out saying, you know, I put my yodeling thing out. At least 50 people have smiled or laughed today because of my yodeling. And for me, that's a good day. You know, some people say, well, you know, it's not very serious, not very grown up, is it? Putting these things out, you know, it's like a kid's app. But, you know, people laughed. Someone who might not have been laughing or feeling pretty bad yesterday might have laughed at me or with me and might have lifted them. Yeah. You know, so my attitude towards now is some people are going to think, well, he's just stupid. You know, and he's a serious therapist. Why is he putting stupid stuff out? But I'm not a serious therapist. I'm, you know, I look at it as serious fun, what we do. I want people to enjoy coming to see me and changing their life.
Yes.
I'm not going to put on a serious face and, interesting. Oh, that sounds bad. Yes, it's horrible. No, I'm not going to do it. Let's think about the people we love. Let's think about, your worth, your value. Let's start from that point as a wedge into changing your life. And that's where I start. That's what I want people, the bottom line for people that come and see me. I want them, one, to go out there, understand their worth and their value. That goes beyond the car they drive, the house they live in, the clothes they wear. And the bottom line for all of this is, am I happy? That's the question. And if I'm not happy, what do I need to change that?
Yeah. This is such a gift. And for anyone listening, I want you, maybe even rewind and listen again and ask yourself, what if it really can be this easy? What if I really can start enjoying the heck out of my life right now? Freddie, you mentioned that you work with people. Will you just talk a little bit about someone who's listening that might want to contact you, what that would look like if somebody wanted to work with you?
That sounds like work.
Contact me and I will get you in touch with Freddie.
You can get in touch with me. I've got a website. It's dead easy. It's Freddy Jacquin, Freddy with a Y, and Jacquin, JACQUIN.com. You can go on there. And I'm very, as you know, because you've told me off about it, I'm very inexpensive. I'm a cheap date, so to speak. So yeah, you can book an appointment with me on there. You can have some time with me. I'm now selling in blocks of 4. But what people, even if you change in that first session, we can say, okay, what do you want to learn, or what else can you work on? So yeah, and I'm not expensive. So that's how you can, if you want to book to work with me, or you want to book to help allow me to help you change, because I don't do any of this stuff. I don't believe I do anything in my therapy room except get that person in touch with their own abilities to change. And that's the criteria. Do you want to change? I put a little post out the other day saying, I only asked 2 questions. What do you want? How bad did you want it? And that's the question we should all ask ourselves. And why am I not doing it? And if look at that, and you'll find it's just your imagination. And now you've seen this podcast, you can go, okay, I'll stop imagining that. I'll imagine it differently.
Yeah.
And if it's an emotion that's holding me back, recognize it's just chemicals in your brain. It's not real. Go back to neutral, make a decision from there. None of this is complex for me, Laurie, anymore.
I love it.
It's really not.
As I was listening to you speak, I was thinking about how when I first started doing this work, when I quit my job as a hairstylist and started doing hypnosis. And I was in that space of trying, of working, I was so stressed out, and I felt like there's all this stuff that I had to do. And I did need to start getting profitable, because I stepped out of my career with no savings, no plan B. I just knew that if I pushed myself out of the nest, I would learn to fly on the way down. So I wonder if you could just talk about a person who is trying, who is striving, who feels a desperation and maybe a fear of not being successful, how that person can adjust their mindset to get to that place of neutral, and then a place of moving in their business from a place of expansiveness and joy. That's the journey that I've been on. And I know that as I finally have understood how to just have fun, and you've modeled a lot of that for me, everything has turned around, and the financial piece has fallen into place, and everything gets easier when you stop trying and just enjoy your life.
Well, in our world, the word try implies failure.
Yes.
When my two teenage boys were younger, and one of them say, look, I can't do this, Dad. And I say, well, just go and do it. Okay, I'll try and do it. And his younger brother used to say, stop trying, just do it. Because I said it so often to him, stop trying. How many people you see, and I see, that have been trying to lose weight for years? They come and say to me, I've been trying to lose weight for years, so stop trying. Just lose the weight. Instead of, I know we do have to earn a living, and we do have to make that kind of money, but I think if you're in therapy, and this has just been my advice, instead of thinking how much money can I earn, think how many people can I help?
Yes.
How many people can I help? And what do I need to do that? And it might be through your courses on, this is how you present online, get over your fears of doing online videos or live videos. Might be just one of those things they need to do, apart from the therapy. And the thing about the hardest thing to learn, one of the hardest things to learn anyway, maybe it's not, maybe that's like a negative suggestion, but it comes from an Ericksonian thing that he said. So he was working with someone with pain, and because when we start out in this work, lacking confidence is one of the main problems. I've only just started to do hypnosis. What if they don't go into hypnosis? What if they wake up and they say boo and, make me feel silly and all that kind of stuff, which never happens. But those confidence problems, but this comes from Erickson. I wish it was my words. He was working with someone in pain. They had cancer of the jaw, I believe. And they only had a few months left to live, but they were in agony. But they didn't want to keep taking more and more morphine because it wasn't touching the pain. Not only that, they couldn't converse with their family, and they wanted their last few months to be able to at least know what was going on in their family. So they called Erickson's last result. Anyway, whatever he did, this guy's pain went. So someone afterwards asked Erickson this question. He said, "Did you know you could do that?" And this is what Erickson's answer was, and I think it's great. I think we all learn it as a therapist. He said, "I had my doubts. What I had no doubt about is I could keep my doubts to myself." And that's as hard to learn as the techniques. But it's worth learning it. But how about doubts about ourselves? But keep those doubts to yourself, because then you get through it. So I think starting out, if you're doing this, because if you come into this because you come into it because it's like, I can see Laurie making a lot of money, I can see other people making a lot of money, I think this is a good way of making money. It's a wrong angle to come at.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about this, which most people are, that's why they get into it. You got into it because you're passionate about helping people change. You use these techniques to change your own life. I think I want to do this for other people. But if you're working from that point, then you will be busy. You'll find a way through it. Yes, you have to continue to learn, continue to get new techniques, learn, new ideas. You don't have to take them all on board, and you don't have to say, "I'm an Ericksonian hypnotherapist, so I can't learn this stuff. I can't learn, anything else. This is just the way it is." I like to think of my way I work like Bruce Lee. I think he came up with the idea of a thing called Jeet Kune Do. But the idea was, because I've helped people in boxing, I've trained boxing, I've done taekwondo, I've done a few of those kind of things. But I'm going to take the best thing from boxing, and I'm going to take the best thing from taekwondo. And if someone else has got another skill, I'm going to learn it. And so it's the same with my hypnotherapy. There's no school around. There's the Jacquin Hypnosis Academy, our system, but it's a system drawn from every kind of thing that's worked for me and Anthony. That's what we do. And I can't use that because it's not my belief. Ultimately, all I want is my client to have the best result. I've learned things from you, Laurie, and I'll be using them. If you say something to me, the thing about neutral, even, that came from a client I was working with in Australia who said something and said, I'll get back to neutral. And she said a few things. She does her own kind of therapy. Don't even say what it is even, but she has some of these ideas that have affected me, even though she's my client. And one of the other things she said, because I, like most people, I beat myself up about mistakes I've made in the past and things I've done. But she said, we're gods in training. All of a sudden that changes everything. We're not the finished item yet. So instead of forgiving ourselves, we say, well, I learned something from that. And yes, I was embarrassed by it, or I did this and it made me look stupid or whatever it might be. But instead of beating myself up over it, say, but we're in training and we're not even there yet. So I think when we start out, if we're absolutely passionate about it, yes, we've got to make a living. And I was, a lot of people say, right, I've learned this, I've done this 5-day course on hypnotherapy. I'm going to jack my job in, and I'm going to open my office, and I'm going to start, and I'm going to, really busy. I would say, and someone on one of these pod things today, in our Hypnosis Academy, she said, I'm part-time hypnotherapist. She's a horticulturist. She teach people around the world how to do this and lecture on it. So I'm a part-time hypnotherapist. But I said, the thing is with hypnotherapy, let's say you're a smoking specialist. I don't know what you charge. I mean, in the States, I've heard quotes of $600 and $1,000 and all kinds of stuff. But let's say in the UK, you could get £150 to help someone quit smoking. The question then is, can I generate 10 people into therapy every week? Because if you can generate 10 people, 10 smokers out of the 10 million smokers in the UK, if you can generate 10 of those people into your practice, that's £75,000 a year, part-time. That's 15 hours work a week. Now, I don't mind working part-time. I prefer to work part-time. I really do. I haven't got a full-time job. I really haven't. So it's just about where you're looking at. But if you do this passionately, and if you do it from your heart, and you love what you're doing, then ultimately you'll be busy. You do need, to learn. But what I was saying on the trance aid thing, for anyone coming into this, they've got you to model. And the things you're teaching them. You're teaching them the things that you do. This is how I do a live. This is how I do a video. This is my attitude. This is how you do it. They're not coming in from where you were, having to learn it from scratch.
Right.
They've got people like myself and Anthony and James Tripp and Carl Smith and all these great people that you can model.
Yeah.
You can say, okay, show me what you're doing. And every one of them have got videos out. You can just go and binge on James Tripp for a week and, and get into his mindset, or get into Carl Smith's mindset, or any of these great therapists. You don't even have to start from scratch, but you do need to keep learning. You do need to keep, and not only learning to help other people, but clearing out your own stuff. Think, okay, what's holding me back? Is that a limiting belief? How does Laurie work with the imposter monster? Let's watch one of her podcasts. Let's watch one of her videos.
Yeah.
If I've got an irrational fear about success, how do I deal with that? Okay, well, Freddie said, stop imagining it. Let's see what happens if I just stop imagining that success somehow is going to be tragedy for me.
Yeah.
We have the tools, all of us, but it starts with ourselves. There's no point. I've seen people selling books on weight loss and they're 5 stone overweight. And I'm thinking, who's going to buy your book? If you're going to get weight loss, get it from a skinny person, someone who's already been there and done it. I just think we should, as therapists, be striving to be as happy as we can be and be as good as we can be. It's not perfect, and look at me, it's a million miles from perfect. But at least I'm striving to enjoy myself, and I'm striving to continue to learn and continue to develop, even at my age. So people coming into it now, when I started doing this, Laurie, back in the early 90s, it was a very odd thing to do. There was about 70 people around the world training people to be hypnotherapists, 70 schools of hypnotherapy. Now look at them.
Yeah.
So, people starting today, they've got great resources. They've got great people around. You've got the Mike Mandel School. You've got the Jacquin Hypnosis School. You've got my book. You've got Anthony's book. You've got all the stuff that these great therapists do. You could just binge on it for a week and learn this stuff. And it doesn't take a lot of learning to help people change. You learn parts negotiation, you learn the arrow technique. If you learn TPM, if you learn some of the stuff that Mike Mandel teaches and Chris Thompson teach, you could go out and immediately start changing people's lives.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
my thinking on it. But you've got to start. A lot of people don't start. They think, well, I just need one more technique. Just need to get this right before I do it. I tell this story, I think we might have, I don't know where I've said it before, about metaphor, when we're teaching about metaphor. But it's one of the ones I love to use for people who think they're not starting because they have to be perfect. And it's a story about the Navajo Indian, and they weave these incredible, beautiful rugs, and they're renowned throughout the world for these rugs. They're intricate patterns, beautiful colors. They've been doing them for thousands of years, making these rugs. But with every one of those rugs, they leave a knot, a small imperfection somewhere in that rug. And every one of those rugs, if you looked, you have to look really hard, but you'd find this knot, this imperfection. And when they're asked why they leave that knot in the rug, their answer is the same as it's been for 2,000 years. They leave that knot in that rug so the gods don't think they're trying to be God themselves. And it's okay to be okay. It's okay to mess up now and again.
Yeah.
But at least you're doing something.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't finished messing up yet. You know, and I am going to make mistakes. I'm sure of it. But, you know, immediately I think, okay, well, I'm just a god in training. So not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to make mistakes. So I don't know if I've helped you and helped the people watching this, but I would say be passionate about what you're doing. If you're starting out in this, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Start with your own job, unlike yourself. But, you know, if you've got a family to support and things like that, think, okay, you've got to make sure they're safe first. But then you start part-time. And then you say on a Saturday or a Sunday or wherever it is, can I get 6 people into my therapy room? You don't have to say that. You say, if they phone up and say, I'm fully booked, but I have got a space on Saturday. 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Okay, 4 o'clock, fine. You know, so get your Saturday filled up until you've got that happening regularly. So you've now got, you know you're generating people into your therapy room. But if you had a Saturday filled up with hypnotherapy clients, the chances are it's more than the money you're earning at your normal job. Mm-hmm. And you can go, okay, now I'm going to throw everything at this. But don't, a lot of people do it. They just jack their job in, go and start a hypnotherapy business. They don't make enough money and then have to go back to work. And that's tragedy and it's painful. My suggestion would be start like that. Learn smoking cessation, make a living out of that, start off with. And then say, okay, well, now weight loss clients, all the other stuff, which you can learn along the way. But enjoy it. Be yourself, whatever that is. Speak as you speak. Don't have to put on any kind of voice. I hear it all the time. People go to these hypnotherapy schools and they're talking to people like they're talking to you. And I'll be talking to you, and then as soon as I go, okay, we're going to do some hypnosis now. Close your eyes, Laurie. That's right. With your eyes closed, you can begin to relax. Deeper, deeper. You're sitting there thinking, where did Freddy go? Who's just walked in the room? You know, just be yourself. Yes. Be passionate. We've been communicating since we were born. Yeah. Trust that you can communicate. And then it's about letting people know you're there. This is what you do brilliantly. You can be the best therapist in the world, but nobody knows you're there. It's of no use. And like we've spoken about this before, the word sell, because people say, well, I didn't come in to sell myself. I didn't come in to, I want to help people. And I don't like selling myself. Well, the word sell comes from the Norwegian word selje, which means to serve. Mm. And if you have a product or a service, which if you've learned hypnosis, you have a service that's of value. If you have a product or a service that's going to enhance someone's life and you don't let them know you exist, you're doing that person a disservice. So it becomes your duty to reach as many people as possible. Because otherwise there might be someone who smokes a cigarette next week because they didn't know you existed this week, and that's the cigarette that's going to kill them. So you need to, and most of the trainings don't get into it enough. They teach you the techniques, they teach you the protocols, but they don't teach you how to get people in front of you. Yes. But everyone else listening to this, they already know about you because that's why they're listening. But anyone that just comes across this video, go and look at Laurie. And that's what I'd say to everybody. Go and look at Laurie and see what she does and model that. When I first went to Las Vegas in 2011, we ran our diploma course there. First time I've been to the first time I've been to Las Vegas. I've been in America before. But in Las Vegas, there was a guy there. His name's Paul Viegel, and he's a magician. And he used to work outside King Ink, which is a tattoo parlor. I think he only did it once a week. He ran this show, but it was enough for him to live in Las Vegas well.
Wow.
He's brilliant. He's fantastic. Paul Viegel, if you get a chance, go and look at him. And so he did about 6 tricks or 6 magic effects. But what I learned from him wasn't, because I don't do magic, and I'm like you, I haven't got a magic trick. I've got a couple. But anyway, what you learned from him was presentation, how he presented, how he got people fascinated and enraptured. And I say to anybody that's starting out, if you're going to present, go and see Paul Viegel. See how he works. He would do this thing. It's phenomenal. He would pull his sleeves up slowly, because he's a magician. And he would show his hands like this. And he'd go, "Can I be any fairer?" And it stuck with me. And he says something else, and which I use in hypnotherapy, strange enough. When I teach people how to do self-hypnosis, he'd say, when this happens, when you get this number, or when you see this trick or whatever it is, and when you realize, he said, the power you're going to get from it's going to be immense. Right? So when I do self-hypnosis, and I say, in a moment, you're going to take yourself back into self-hypnosis. I said, only a handful of people on the planet can do what you're about to learn to do. And the power you're going to get from it's going to be immense. And those are that Paul Viegel's words, because they stuck in my head. And it is, the power they're going to get from it's going to be immense. And so, yeah, go and see Paul Viegel. If you're ever in Las Vegas, I don't even know where he is now, but and it's the same with you, Laurie. I would say to people, go and watch Laurie. See how she presents. See how she does her videos. See what her attitude was. And I'll tell you, that's what came across when you dug me out in that trance aid. That's not rehearsed. It's not kind of practice. This is Laurie Hammond digging my mate out. This is what I'm going to do. Get everyone up, get everyone doing something. And that, for me, is the best I've ever seen you. And I know, because that's just who you are. And that's what comes across. So I would suggest to people who want to present, who want to get on in this business, not everyone's going to do it, but they've got the opportunity to model you. And,
thank you.
And get the attitude.
Yeah. Thank you, Freddie. How do you spell Paul's last name?
I think it's Vigil.
Okay, I'll look him up and put him in the notes below the video.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's a Facebook friend. I don't think he's on Facebook a lot. But for me, of all the people I've seen some great magicians. I've got friends that are really good magicians and performers. But Paul Viegel is top. He's not even top class. He is class. And when you watch him perform, it's just, forget about the magic, which he's brilliant at. Just watching this guy, it's like a lesson. It's like a masterclass in performance. Yeah. In understated performance, which is, but so anyway, but yeah, we got people to model, and anyone coming into this business, there's great people. And most of the people, and you know this, in this business, not much like in other businesses, are so generous, and they all want to help you. There's a few, it's my technique, and I'm not going to give it to you. No, it's mine. But everyone else is going, yeah, come and learn, come and do it, show you.
Yeah.
And that's the joy of it. Everyone that's bought my hypnotherapy book, bought my Audible book, who's used any of those techniques, I feel I've had a hand in that kind of helping that person change.
Yes, you did. Yes. Freddie,
anyway,
this has been
all your time.
Oh no, this has been so valuable. I was so excited for this interview, and once again, you far exceeded all expectations, which were already incredibly high. I'm so grateful for you sharing this. I have taken away so much, and I know anyone listening will as well. Before we say goodbye, will you just tell people just a little bit more about your academy and how they can become involved?
Yeah, the JacquinHypnosisAcademy.com. Just go to that website, Jacquin Hypnosis Academy. We've got an online hypnosis training platform. We're running our diploma course over 6 months. So we extended it to 50 hours of training over 6 months. And we're now on 3 different time zones. So we start at, when we do it, it's like every month or every 2 weeks. We start at 2 o'clock for the UK and Europe, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, runs through till 6 o'clock. So that's 4 hours. And then for the USA and kind of Brazil and all that area, we start at 7 in the evening, which is like 2 o'clock or 12 o'clock your time. It's through till 11 o'clock UK time, which is it's like from maybe midday to 4 o'clock your time, depending where you are in the States. And then on the Sunday after, we start at 7 a.m. for New Zealand and Australia, so for that Southern Hemisphere. So it's their afternoon. So we're running that over 50 hours over 6 months. In between each of the units or the lessons, we're setting people up, pairing people up as hypno buddies. So between each of the units, you go away, you've got a hypno buddy, which you train with. So you're also getting a chance to practice your stuff online, which you don't normally do. Then we have a hypno circle every unit. So maybe 4 or 5 people within that group who get together and talk about the stuff. So it's just a great way of creating this community. And Anthony and I have held nothing back. Everything I've learned, developed, everything that Anthony's learned and developed over the last 20 years is there. And it's not just the online live training. Everything we've ever done, all the stuff at Mike Mandel, the 2-day training we ran at Mike Mandel's on there. You've got all my HCL workshops on there, all of my book, everything. You go on, and it's $47 a month.
It's incredible.
And you don't have to do more than a month. You could, if you say, right, $47, I'm saving it up, got me $47, spent this $47, and for a month, you could lock yourself in your bedroom, stay in bed, binge on Anthony and my stuff. And by the time you come out of your bedroom, you could be a fully fledged change worker. But we're hoping you're going to stay with us, because each month we put new stuff on and we're running this course over 6 months. So from our point of view, we want members, but we also understand to do that, we've got to continue to give them value, and which is what we're doing all the time. Every month we're putting new stuff on there. I'm doing more recordings, my little ideas that I've come up with, which I impart with everybody. So I think when Anthony said to me back in last year, October, I'm going to put all our stuff online, it's going to cost people $47. I said, well, you're completely mad. You know, why would you want to give everything we've ever done away for $47? Oh, he said, no, it's going to be great. And it has been. And we run this our diploma course live, but I honestly believe this is better value, not just because it's a tenth of the price. Normally we ran that live 5 days, it was £2,500, which is like $3,500, whatever it is. You could sign up for a year and get that 6 months training. I think it's for $395, something like that. It's ludicrous. When we did the stuff with Mike Mandel, which is all on there, we were selling that, just that piece alone, for $395. My book's on there, Anthony's book's on there.
The arrow.
The arrow techniques, which we were selling for $97, you can go and download that. And you can practice with me and Anthony. Because at the moment, Anthony hasn't figured out in the Zoom things how to take me out of one of those rooms, unlike you. So whenever he puts, so every unit, someone in our group is going to end up with me as a hypno buddy. And I say it's like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates. You never know which you're going to get. But so it's all good fun. And that's what I'm saying. None of this is work. Yes, if it changes people's lives, and we want it to, if it helps people out of chronic pain or out of fear and anxiety or whatever it is, the problems, it's great. But I'm going to have fun doing it. Yeah. And I hope everyone that joins us sees that as well. Serious fun is what we all need.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I highly, highly recommend the Jacquin Academy to everyone.
Thanks.
There's no better way you could possibly invest your money and your time.
I think it's a 14-day free trial if you want to go on it now. So you
Amazing.
don't even have to pay. Just sign up and you get 14 days trial. So in that 14 days, as I said, you could binge on the Mike Mandel stuff. You could learn the arrow technique. You could get my book. You can get all that stuff for free.
Yeah. And I'll put all the links below this,
Thanks.
wherever you're watching or listening.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Freddie.
Well,
I'm so grateful for your time. Is there anything you want to add before we say goodbye?
Only that, I love you. Thousands of people love you. And I mean that from my heart. You're just fantastic. And, honestly, you're great. And I know that other people around the world think the same way because you're authentic and you love what you do. So anyway, look out for the book with Zelda in.
Yes, I can't wait.
She's going to get a signed copy of that when it comes out.
Thank you, Freddie.
Keep an eye out for my book, Lazy Way to Enlightenment and Unlimited Happiness. It's going to be out in a few weeks. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Freddie.
Thanks again. Take care.
I'm so grateful you've listened all the way to the end. What is one tiny action step you'll take now based on an aha moment you got during the podcast? Maybe that life-changing action step is to come accept the gift I have for you at theimpostermonster.com. Head there right now to get your powerful hypnosis audio, The Answer Room. That lets you make important decisions and get crystal clear about your next step forward on this path of purpose in your one great and precious life.